Hello, I'm Jana, and welcome back to the Crafty Corner. Today, we're going to be playing with the Tim Holtz Idea-ology Christmas paper dolls. I love paper dolls, and I definitely have just a few in my stash. So we're going to be altering these today and creating a few cards along the way. If you'd like to see exactly which supplies we're going to be using, go ahead and pause here. All right, let's head over to the Crafty Corner. So today we're going to be creating with paper dolls, and we're going to be looking at several different techniques to custom color these. So I've picked out a selection of paper dolls that we're going to be using for the first part of the video. And these we're going to be coloring with some of the Tim Holtz Distress watercolor pencils. So we've got a pretty diverse cast here. We've got some kids and we've got some grown-ups. And these are all winter themed from this year's Tim Holtz Idea-ology paper doll release. So I want to start with the drummer. He, for me, was the absolute highlight of this year's pack. Absolutely love this. So let's go ahead. We're going to just bring in our colors and a water brush. So we've got our water brush right here, and we're just going to zoom in a bit so we can see what we're doing and start coloring. So I want to start out with, I think I'll start with his face and hands. And for this, I'm going to just grab some color directly off the pencil. There's several ways we could do this. One, we could do direct coloring onto the paper doll. Two, we could pull in the watercolor palette that I've been keeping shavings in. Or we could just do this, and this works. All right, so I'm starting off with some tattered rose, and we'll use that for his face and hands. And I'm just going to lightly dab that on, and this will dry very nicely. And I really like the watercolor pencils because they don't take a lot of time to dry. And they're pretty translucent, so even if we go over some of the detailed areas, everything's going to show up nicely once it has dried. As you can see, just a little bit of color, and we've already got some decent tinting going on. Okay, now for the uniform, I think we're going to go blue and gold because I'm going to make the drum red. So for the blue, oh, I don't know. Do I want prize ribbon or blueprint sketch? Probably blueprint sketch. That's not going to be the one that's a little bit too bright. We'll go with prize ribbon. That's got more of a vintagey vibe to it. So I'll just paint that on. Now, sometimes I get a little bit of water beading, but that's okay because I can go back and smooth out the color with the brush. Sometimes I need to wait a little bit for everything to kind of dry before adding another layer. But if we're patient, everything tends to work out very well. Okay, yep, I think I called it with the prize ribbon. That's looking really good. And I'm going to work my way around the buttons because we're going to go back with probably some fossilized amber to color those in. All right. Yeah, I really do like that prize ribbon color. It's good. Okay. We'll just carefully work around the buttons. Very good. So these really don't take a long time, and I find this part really relaxing. I love watercoloring with the pencils. It's very fun. But like I've talked about before, compartmental crafting is really for the win because you could do a whole batch of these just sitting in front of the TV, watching a favorite movie or a YouTube channel. So these are very low stress. And I don't think too much about the colors. I just kind of picked a set palette of what I'd call kind of Christmassy colors, and I'm just using those to create with today. I find that kind of giving myself a limited palette makes things a little bit easier because if I'm looking at all 72 colors of distress, then it's a little bit more intense to try to pick just the right colors than if I limit myself to a set palette. Okay, well, let's move on to the pants. There we go. And it really doesn't take too much. And this side, great. So I'll need to let that dry just a little bit. We'll go back over here to the hat. And we're getting such a nice color here. I love it. And back over here. Okay. I'll need to let that dry. So while I'm waiting for that, I think I'll just take care of his shoes right now. And I decided to go with a vintage photo color. So I'll just add that. And then we'll move on to the drum while the rest of the paper towel is drying. So I can kind of do like a second coat. All right. And for the drum, I pulled in festive berries. So we're just going to color this part just very carefully. Not bad. Pretty good. All right. Let's go for that fossilized amber next. So just a little bit of that. A little bit here and there. Okay, and a bit for the hat. All right. And let's finish up over here. Now, gotta pull back the prize ribbon again. There we go. All right, so I would call that done, and I'm very happy. We've got some color on here. It's looking very festive. So we'll just put him aside, and we're going to put everything else in fast forward as we color in the rest of our paper dolls here. And we've got a few because I've got lots of projects that I want to use these in. So let's go ahead and put things in fast forward and keep coloring. Here are the altered paper dolls with distress watercolor pencils. I love the vintagey look that we've gotten here, and the colors are just perfect over the photo-like finish. So now we're going to be altering some more paper dolls, but this time we're going to be using distress crayons. So let's clear the mat and move these off to the side. I can't wait to create with these later on. Okay. So let's bring in our next couple of paper dolls, and these I picked very deliberately. These each have a very light coloring to them. Now, I'm doing this because we're using the crayons, and I don't always get the best results, but what I've found is that if I go for lighter colors, I tend to get a more natural look when coloring these. So we're going to be using some of the green, which is Tree Lot. This is one of the mica crayons. We've got some speckled egg, and we've also got some dried marigold. So for this, I'm going to scribble down just a little bit of the crayon directly onto the mat and use this as a palette. Okay. There we go. So I'll be able to use the water brush and pick directly up from that area. So let's start with this girl right here. We'll pick up some of that dried marigold. And yeah, now the weird thing about the crayons is it sometimes appears to be more pigmented than the watercolor pencil. So I have a little bit more time finessing these. There we go. That's pretty good. You know what? I'll do her face while we're at it. So we really don't need a lot. Okay. Not bad. Now let's go in for some speckled egg next. I want to do her dress and shoes with that speckled egg color. There we go. Yeah, it's not really taking a whole lot, but it's taking a bit. Now, I don't really want to color everything in. I kind of just want to follow some of those fabric lines just to highlight the dress. Now, the weird thing with the crayons is that different colors have different amounts of pigment payout, which is, it's interesting. I mean, it makes sense that speckled egg would have a lighter payout because it is a much paler color. But in general, I've just found that these are pretty different to use than other mediums. Okay, it's very subtle, but I'm liking the subtlety right now. And with the white, this should show up pretty nicely once everything has had a chance to dry. Okay, let's just take a closer look at this. I'm not really seeing much yet. Well, I know I put the speckled egg on here. Let's go in again with a little bit more. Just try to layer that up just a bit. Okay, there we go. Needed a second layer. That's all right. Okay, it's starting to show up. I'm starting to get some kind of folds in the fabric. That's just what I'm after. Okay, pretty good. Let's take a closer look. Yeah, it's there. You just have to kind of bend this in the light in order to see what we're looking at. But it is there. All right, so let's set that aside. Now for this cute little girl, I decided that we'd go with some rustic wilderness for her outfit. I thought that would be cute. There we go. Okay, that's working out. And just a little bit more over here. Pretty good. All right. You know what? I do want a bit more. Tree lot is metallic, and I really want the metallic to show up. So we're going in for a second layer. There. All right, not bad. So let's take a closer look. Very subtle, but we've definitely added a bit to this. And here we go with this one. Oh. Not bad. I like it. Okay, so these are our two examples featuring the Distress crayons for tinting and coloring paper dolls. Now we're pulling in some more paper dolls to work on some glazing. And for glaze, we're going to be playing with Rustic Wilderness and Lumberjack Plaid. And I'm also going to be pulling in the embossing pen. Now this is the brush tip pen. I love this one. It's got a very flexible brush and it makes it easy to get into detailed spots. So let's start right here with this paper doll, and we're just going to brush on the embossing ink, and then we can add our glaze. Now with the ink pens, you can very easily tell where you don't have ink down. So just like with the dabber, we're going to be lifting up our substrate and making sure that we've got shine all over the areas that we want to glaze. If there's no shine, then the embossing glaze will not stick to those areas. So we're just kind of working our way down, working our way across, and trying to get really thorough coverage. Okay, well, we're more than halfway done. All right, give this a turn. I usually try to work near natural light so that I can see exactly what I'm doing, just to make sure that I am going to get that good coverage on the first time round. Because trying to add glaze in later is definitely a bit of a pain. So let's lift this up and make sure that we've got good coverage. So you can see that we've got all sorts of shine on here, and I'm just working my way towards the top. that looks really good. I think we got everything. So we'll just set that down for a moment, cap our pen, and grab our scrap paper. So we're just going to pour this right on top and then see about embossing after we've added some color to the other paper dolls. Okay. And just a teeny tiny tap. Oh, we did miss a small spot, but not a very big deal. That's going to be pretty easy to take care of. All right, so that would be paper doll number 1. So I'll set her down and we will put all of that glaze right back in the jar and we'll move on to paper doll number 2. Okay, well, let's go with this guy. I want to do his jacket in green and I want to leave the suit as is. So let's just carefully add our ink. There we go. And why not the hat? That might as well match the suit jacket. Okay. So almost done here. Just carefully adding that ink in all the spots that we want it. Okay. I think we're almost done. There we go. That is pretty good. So let's pick this up, give it a quick tilt. Everything looks to be pretty good. So let's add the rustic wilderness. And that looks great. So we'll set him aside as well and add our embossing glaze to the last paper doll. For her, we're going to be turning her dress a beautiful shade of red. So let's go ahead, put the lid back on here. There we go. And we'll pull her in. That is a nice full dress and that's going to look great in red. So I'm just going to put our ink down and go from there. Definitely you could use the embossing dapper with this, but I love how angular the brush is and it allows me to get around tight corners and into small spaces. So that's why I'm using the brush versus the dabber right now. Okay. And that's looking pretty good. All right. Very good. Oh, and I can see a couple of spots where I did not get good coverage. So I want to go back and color those in with the ink. I am very glad I checked, which is why we check each time to avoid issues like that. Okay. I think that's better. Much better. All right, paper and glaze. Great. So set that down and put the glaze right back into the jar. Next, we're going to throw things on fast forward as we heat emboss each of the paper dolls, and I'm going to be using the Sizzix embossing heat gun. Here are our finished paper dolls with distress glaze. I also did a little bit of quick tinting with some distress crayon just for the faces and hands, and these are all set. So let's go ahead and set these aside. Now we're moving on to our last alteration for today with paper dolls. And this one is going to be a combination. We're going to be using some distress mica spray stains And we're also going to be pulling in some Ranger Gold embossing powder, along with the fine detailer embossing pen. So let's go ahead and give our mica spray smooth a good shake. Great. And I'm also going to quickly tint the faces and hands of these paper dolls before we move on to making their dresses all sparkly and pretty. So just very quickly adding that in. There we go. Nice simple alteration. Okay. So we have got Frozen Fog and Winter Frost. And we're going to be giving each of these girls a different colored dress. Okay, so we've got some Frozen Fog. And now let's add a dash of Winter Frost. Great. So we're just going to take our water brush, dip that in, and start painting. So this might take 1 or 2 layers. I'm trying to go pretty light-handed, but the mica in particular really likes to try to bunch up on things. Maybe if we just go really lightly and try to spread this out as much as we can, it's going to play nice. Okay, there we go. It's starting to look pretty good already. I like it. Oop, somehow I got her arm. Let's just fix that. There we go. Good. So I might actually dab a little bit of that off. That's a bit more of a deep color than I was expecting. I'm kind of surprised. I'm expecting that to take a lot longer to behave. But there we go. It's not bad. Just need to do something about her hand. There we go. All right, so now we're going to pull in the Frozen Fog. That's a much lighter color, but I just want the added shimmer on here. There we go. Ooh, it's gonna be really pretty. Okay, work my way around her hands. Pretty good. Oh, I am loving the shine already. That is very, very cool. All right, so I'm just gonna give these a quick dry with the Ranger Heat tool, and I'll be right back so that we can add in the embossed element as well. Here we are. They look pretty good. And we've got that lovely mica shine on there. So what I want to do is go in with the embossing pen, and we're going to just add some dots to these cute little dresses. And then we'll drop some embossing powder on here. Okay, just work our way around. All right. Oh, and I do want to do the stars and the crowns. Perfect. That'll look really good. I like that. And almost done. Just have one last crown to do. All right, so let's grab this and our piece of paper. We've got our embossing powder ready. And we're just going to dump this right on and see what we get. Okay, I think we're good. So let's go ahead, put our powder back, and we'll be back in just a moment after we've had a chance to emboss. Okay, that actually came out pretty cute. We had a little bit of spillover in places, but it totally works. I love it. So that would be embossing with Ranger Gold and distress glazes. So now that we have a whole wonderful cast of characters here, it's time for us to think about building a card. But the question is, who is going to be featured on the card? Actually, no, that's not really that hard a question. We've got to go with this guy. He is very, very cool and would be a wonderful focal point for a card. So let's go ahead and make our card. So let's put a card together. For the card, I decided that I wanted to go with one of these backgrounds. This is Layered Stripes by Sizzix and Tim Holtz, and I love that. That is a fun background. So I've already die cut my pieces. We have got some Sizzix cardstock, and this is the textured cardstock. And then I also am bringing in some of the Tim Holtz Idea-ology metallic craft stock. So I already layered these up with double-sided sticky tape. So all I need to do is line this up and stick down these layers to create our background. Now, easy backgrounds are definitely some of my favorite things to work with, because in the holiday making season, there just aren't enough hours in the day to create all the things. So little things that save me time make me very happy. And we'll just take that, peel off this section as well, and stick that right onto our card base. Now the card base is some Distress White Heavy Stock. So we're just going to be careful with how we place this down. Want to make sure everything's nice and straight, lined up. All right, I think we're good. Great. So we have our background. Now we're going to be pulling in a tag. I had this left over from some of our Play with Metallic sprays, spritzers, and paints. And this was just some of the wipe up from that. Now what I want to do with this is I want to add some rub-ons in the background, and I do not play with these nearly enough, but I found these in my stash while I was doing a little bit of cleaning, and this is Gilded Christmas Time, and this is Tim Holtz Idea-ology. I love these. They are very, very fun. So let's open this up, and I want the layer with the silver on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab some scissors, and I'm going to cut out a few pieces to add onto here. I like these little sparkly snowflake bits, so let's grab that. Okay, so I've got those, and I think I want a few snowflakes. Let's see, I want to make sure that's actually going to fit. Yep. So we'll go that far, then cut. Okay. Now I'm just going to kind of line things up to make sure that everything's going to show up. I'm also pulling in these bells that we also did with the metallic paint. I want the bells to go here-ish, and our paper doll is going to go here. So I was thinking can put the sparkles there and the snowflakes here. All right, we've got a plan. So I'm just going to peel this off, the backing, and we're going to carefully put that right down here. And then we'll take the snowflakes and do the same thing. And then we're going to use the remnant rub tool to attach these. Okay. Just make sure we're in frame. Good. All right. So we've got our remnant rub tool. Ooh. And let's go ahead and rub. All right, so let's start peeling this up. Oh, that came out really, really nicely. That's gorgeous. Cool. All right, let's check on the snowflakes. And those came out absolutely perfectly. Look at that. And it's like this really cool foiled look. That is neat. Remnant rubs certainly are fun. And then we have the leftover pieces, and you can see where the remnants came off of. That is just, it's neat. These are really cool. All right, so put that away. Now I'm going to take these bells and add them here. I think I do want some foam squares. So I've got these. Take that. Good. And we can stick that right on here. Oh, I do want to just make sure that everything's going to fit in frame. Okay, that looks good. All right. And then I'm going to want some glue. We're going to glue our drummer right onto the tag. Huh. Looks like I might be out of glue. Okay, not a problem. Let's get a little bit more glue and then we can put our paper towel onto the card. Okay, I've got some glue. And just need to open that up. All right. Oh, interesting. All right, we'll add some glue. There we go. And we'll add him right onto the tag. Oh, this looks really good. I like this. Great. So we have that, and I do want to glue the tag down as well. So get some more glue, run that across the back. Oh, that's a little stringy. That's weird. Okay. And we're just scribbling some glue onto the back of the tag. Okay, that's really weird. I've never had collage medium start to get stringy on me. That's different. I wonder if it has to do with the temperature. It is a little colder in here today. Maybe that's it. Okay, now let's take this. I'm going to put that right here. Okay. There we go. So I'll just hold this for a moment and then we'll come back and add a sentiment. So we're going to be pulling in the 2024 Idea-ology Tim Holtz sticker book, and I've already found some great little stickers to add. We're going to put Song of the Snowflakes at the bottom, and this is going to kind of be an embellishment piece now, Silver Bells. And we'll just kind of tuck that. Around here somewhere. Let's see. I really want this on here. There, let's put that right along here. I don't know. No, I think we're just going to go with that. I'll save this for another time. All right. So we have got our first card. Let's go ahead and work on a second one. I am very happy with that. We've got some lovely colors. We've got some shine going on here. We've got our featured paper doll and some fun Sizzix die cuts. All right, moving on to our next card featuring this adorable little sledder. So for our second card, I decided that I wanted to do a shaker card, and we're going to make this a fairly easy shaker card by making this into a pocket window. I've got a great piece of plastic here that I can use for the window, and I also have this pre-made frame, and this is from this year's Idea-ology layers. So the first thing that we need to do is cut this down so it will fit inside our frame. Okay, So we got that. And we'll just give that a little trim. All right. So let's see how that looks on our background. That will work very well. So the next thing I want to do is measure this out, and then we're going to cut this down to size and see about putting this together. Okay, so let's see. How do I want to do this? So that's going to be the side that I fill from. I think we're going to go the super glue route. Not my usual, but I think in this case it's going to make the most sense because I want this to stick and stay down and not go anywhere. Okay. So we should be good. All right. Got our super glue. Just put the cap back on and let's place this down before it starts to dry. So we're going to put this right here. All right. And we'll just hold that for a moment or two to let the glue have a chance to set. And then I will start trimming, because I'll need to do another glue line since we're going to be cutting this. But well, let's see what we can do. Okay, so far so good. And we'll take that. All right. Now I'm going to take that same glue. I'm going to run a little bit along the inside of that seam. Okay, so right here, and just a little bit of glue. Just have to get the tube moving again. Okay. Pretty good. All right, and this side. So just a little bit. I'm not putting down a ton of glue, just enough to make sure everything sticks. All right. I think we are pretty good. So I want to leave that for just a little bit to let the glue set up, and then we'll start filling this with mica and glitter. All right, we'll be back in just a little bit. While we're waiting for that piece of plastic to dry, let's work on our background. We're going to be pulling in Bottle Bush Trees. This is CMS 455, and we're going to be stamping some trees in our background with some white embossing powder. All right, so we've got some trees, and we've got a stamping block and the embossing dabber. So we're just going to quickly tap this right on here and stamp. And I want to make sure this is nice and juicy because I am stamping on the textured side of Distress Watercolor cardstock. All right, that is good. So we'll just take this, that's going to go right here, and I'll put one on the other side as well. So more embossing ink. Great, and we'll put this over here. Good firm pressure. All right. And let's go for a smaller tree next. Take that. Good. And let's put that one here. And I want to do one more of those on the other side. And I've got one more tree kind of for the middle ground. Let's put that here. Great. And one last tree. So smooshing that good with the dabber. And that one can go right here. Great. Now we just need our paper and our embossing powder. And this again is the Ranger white powder. All right. And we've got some lovely trees. So let's go ahead, dump our powder back, and we'll be back in just a moment after we have embossed those lovely snowy trees. Here is our background. That looks great. So the next thing that we're going to do is fill that little plastic packet with some mica flakes. Now, the mica that I have here has also had a whole bunch of distressed glitter added to it for extra shine and sparkle. So let's open this up. We're going to carefully pour that in. I want to be pretty generous with that. Okay, that looks good. Just going to kind of shake that around, seal that back up, and just, whoa, move the mica a bit and hopefully not have any more randomly fall out. Okay, so I need to do a quick seal over here and we'll be right back. Okay, so we have our packet all sealed up. I ended up using a dash of hot glue to work my way around the edges, and that seems to have worked really, really well. Now we're just going to add that to the front of our card. And again, I've decided to go the hot glue route. It seems to be working really well and offering some stability to this entire shaker unit. All right, so we've got that. Let's carefully flip this around and place that down. Okay, not bad. So now that this is complete, we can see about adding in our paper doll. And we've got that really fantastic sweater that's going to be our main focal point on this card. And we're also going to be pulling in some Idea-ology stickers to pull this all together with a sentiment. And of course, we're going to need some glue and our slider. So I'm just going to take that, scribble a bit on the back. Oh, and then stick it down. Wow, it's a little bit more liquidy than usual. That's interesting. Okay, so just moving that right along. Trying to carefully work my way in between all those little parts of the sled runner. All right, I think we're good. Let's take that and we're going to place him right here. That's good. And last but not least, let's add our sentiment. So I have got Christmas Eve. I'm going to put that right here. And then we've got dashing through the snow, which is absolutely perfect for this. Now, the question is there anything else that I want to do to this card? And yes, I do want to add a little bit extra to this. I want to do something along the side. But the question is what? You know what? I think I'm going to grab one of the decal foiling pens. I have a silver one in here. And I just want to add a little bit of extra silver to the edge of the card. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of just brush that on. Yeah, just having that little silvery border is going to add something to this. So, great. Okay, there we go. We'll just turn that. There, I just need a little extra silvery touch. That is good. All right, and I would call that card complete. Here are all of our completed elements from today's play with Tim Holtz Idea-ology paper dolls. We made a couple of fun cards featuring some paper dolls, and we altered quite a few as well. So let's bring them back out just to take a look at all of the fun things that we have been working on today. We've played with glazes, distress crayons, distress watercolor pencils, distress mica spray stain, and we've had lots of fun working our way through all sorts of different mediums to create all of these fun paper dolls. I hope that you've enjoyed today's video featuring the paper dolls. I know I had lots of fun having a good in-depth play and being able to even create some cards as well. Thank you so much for joining me here today at the Crafty Corner for fun with paper dolls. Until next time, happy crafting!